Hey, this is Mike from the Run Testers, and in this video I'm going to be talking about some new running headphones that I have been testing. Now, we obviously do test a lot of running headphones on the channel, and a lot of those do sit at a more expensive price point, so above that kind of £100, $100 kind of mark, and we know not everyone has that kind of money to spend on a pair of headphones when you've got to buy the shoes and the kit and the watch as well. So it's refreshing when we find a cheaper pair of headphones that actually may rival the performance of some of those more expensive headphones. You know, ultimately the pinnacle is probably those kind of Shokz headphones, and then you've got things like Halo, Nyanka as well. They offer kind of the best kind of all-round performance, and some of the kind of Philips headphones as well. So these are the Soundpeats RunFree Lite. Now Soundpeats are a kind of small Chinese brand. You can pick these up on Amazon ultimately. They cost £35 in the UK. I think it's kind of $30 in the US. So definitely, you know, at that kind of cheaper price point in terms of headphones. And in terms of the features, you're getting a lot of things that really will rival those other headphones that kind of sit, like, as I said, at that kind of top end in terms of kind of bone conduction headphones. So I've been testing these out the last few weeks on all of my runs, kind of indoor runs and outdoor runs, to see what they're like. See if, you know, you can actually save yourself some money and pick up a pair of cheap bone conduction headphones and get something that gives you that kind of awareness of when you're out, when you're, you know, indoors, and you want that awareness around you when you're running, and also when you're outdoor, kind of near kind of traffic, and if you're racing as well. So yeah, I'll get into the key features. I'll get into how I got on in my running, and then give you my verdict on whether you should buy the Soundpeats RunFree Lite. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about design, and really in terms of what you're getting here, you're getting something that's not really breaking from the norm in terms of the design of other kind of sporty and kind of run-focused bone conduction headphones. It's kind of this neckband style design. It's roughly around the same weight as something like the Shokz OpenRun, so to give you an idea of the kind of how light these headphones will be, you're getting physical buttons on the headphones themselves, and they can play and pause music, control volume, skip tracks, kind of activate your or handle your calls as well. You are also getting multi-point sharing. That ultimately lets you pair to two devices at the same time and switch between the two as well. In terms of charging, you are getting USB-C, and you've got this kind of latch under here that kind of covers the port as well. From a kind of durability point of view, you're getting something that's IPX4 rated, so kind of sweat and light rain protection ultimately, so not quite the highest protection you'll find in bone conduction headphones. I think Shokz and Halo and Nyanka, they have IP67, but this is going to give you some protection in terms of that kind of, as I said, sweat, and kind of when you're out running in some rain as well. Now, the other thing to kind of note on these headphones is that they do work with a companion app, and in that companion app you have the ability to kind of adjust the sound profile. So you've got some kind of preset EQ modes, and then you've got kind of a custom one as well there. You can adjust the volume, you can see the kind of battery status from there as well. So there's some room to kind of adjust the sound profile on these headphones. And again, yeah, these are open ear bone conduction headphones, so the idea is that it's keeping your ears kind of not blocked up, you know, keeping you aware, giving you a balance of your sound, but also what you hear around you. And that's really the aim of these headphones, to make them kind of an option that are safer to use if you're out running in busy environments, if you're running on your own and you want to be very aware of your environments as well as hearing your audio. This is what this design is ultimately you know, created for. And then we get into the battery life. Now, Soundpeats promises you can get up to 17 hours battery life, and that is much more than what's promised on things like the Shokz OpenRun Pro, the other kind of headphones that I mentioned, which kind of sit at the kind of 8 to 9 hours. But as I'll get into in the kind of testing, does it quite match that kind of, or make that 17-hour battery life? That's something I'll get into, as I said, in my run test. But yeah, those are the key things you need to know about the Soundpeats RunFree Lite. Let's get into how they got on in the run test. Okay, so let's get into that run test, and I have been using these for the last few weeks on all of my runs, indoors and outdoors, and I'll start with talking a little bit about the fit side of things and how comfortable they are to wear. I think the first thing I say is these are nice and light, and that's something I would look for in headphones for running in general. I think most people would. They stay put, or they don't disappear. You don't really notice them. They're not super heavy in any way or add massive bulk, I think, in general. And yeah, the weight wise, they're about the same as a pair of Shokz OpenRuns, give you kind of context. And from that point of view, I was pretty happy in terms of the fit that you're getting here. Obviously, the level of durability you're getting isn't as strong as some of the more expensive headphones, bone conduction headphones out there. It's an IPX4 rated design, but I think in terms of my testing, it's been absolutely fine. And I've seen no performance issues. I'm not seeing any connection dropouts. I've used an iPhone and an Android phone. I've paired them to an Apple Watch Ultra as well and a Garmin, and I've had no issues from that point of view. So from a connectivity point of view, the other thing I would probably talk about are the buttons. And I think the things for me, if you've got buttons or a button system on a pair of headphones, you want to make sure that they're easy to access. When you're running different speeds. That also, they're responsive as well, the ones that you can use when you're moving and you're on the run. I think, first and foremost, I think they are responsive. I would say that maybe I would prefer them to be a little bit more spaced out in terms of where they are on these headphones, and it just means when you're running a little bit quicker, it might be a bit more difficult to distinguish between the three buttons that you've got here that you can double tap, single tap, triple tap to kind of activate the different controls. But when you're kind of running pretty easily, I think it's absolutely fine from that point of view, and it's a good set of physical controls to have here. The only other thing I would probably add is that it wasn't a major issue, but it's something I did slightly notice on a couple of runs, is that you can feel, I did feel this kind of little kind of grilled area on the headphones, and it wasn't uncomfortable anyway, but it is something that I noticed, and maybe running a little bit longer in it may become an issue, but as I said, it's not become a problem. It wasn't at a point where I thought I need to take these off because they're not comfortable. So overall for me, I think they're nice and light. I think the physical controls are pretty good overall in terms of being able to use them, and again, you've got a good level of durability in terms of that IPX4 rated design here as well. Okay, so into sound performance now. With bone conduction headphones, you are making some compromises in terms of that overall sound quality. You're not going to get the bass, the warmth, the power, that you're going to get on in-ear or kind of on-ear headphones. So you have to be willing to accept some of those things, but things are getting better. We're seeing with those kind of latest generation Shokz headphones, with a kind of last generation Philips headphones that I tested, those had kind of a nice bassy sound, although you're making some sacrifices in battery life front. So things are starting to get better, and you are getting a better balance, I think, with these kind of newer bone conduction headphones. So with the Soundpeats RunFreeLite Lite, I think out of the box, they definitely sound a little on the muddy side. There's good amount of power there. I think, when you compare it to some other bone conduction headphones, I think, kind of rivaling what you're going to get from kind of Shokz and Anker and those kind of Halo headphones that we've tested. But ultimately, it is a little bit muddy sounding out of the box, so you're not getting that great clarity and kind of detail that you're getting on the kind of top end bone conduction headphones ultimately. But you have that companion app, that Soundpeats companion app, which I think really elevates what you're getting from the kind of sound performance here. You have those kind of EQ modes, you have those preset and those kind of custom EQ support kind of features there. And then you can get something that I think sounds a lot brighter, sounds a lot more balanced. You kind of remove some of that muddiness that you're getting. It's not totally removed, but I think it definitely seemed a little bit more well-rounded in terms of that audio quality. And I think actually for a pair of £35 bone conduction headphones, it really does rival, I think, what you can get from those kind of more expensive headphones. I think ultimately you're going to get something more detailed and more clear on things like the Shokz OpenRun, the Ankers, the kind of Halos particularly as well. But I think actually you can get some really enjoyable sound from these. And crucially, I think the balance between what you're hearing outside and what you're hearing from the headphones is good. It's not getting drowned out by things like traffic and wind. And also when I've been indoors running, kind of the kind of speaker systems that are around me in the gym as well. So from that point of view, I think, where you really want it to deliver, it's done a very, very good from that front. So I said out of the box, they don't sound great, and you do get that kind of muddiness, and I think that's good. It's the kind of preset Soundpeats EQ mode. It isn't particularly fantastic in terms of that balance, but you do have the scope to adjust things from the app, and I think it really pays off to download the app to get the best sound quality out of these headphones. So I think you can get an overall kind of bright, you know, kind of warm, kind of, you know, decent amount of power there as well, a good level of balance, a little bit of kind of detail there as well, but not massive amount of detail, and then you get a little bit kind of punch in that sound as well. So I think, as I said, for a pair of $30 bone conduction headphones, these do deliver pretty good sound. You just need to kind of play around with that kind of EQ or use those EQ modes to get it. But yeah, you know, from a sound performance point of view, I've been relatively surprised by what I've got with the RunFree Lite. What I got from the kind of music listening experience pretty much mirrors what I got in terms of using the mics to handle calls. If you want something to handle calls, then that is what you can do here. I think the call quality is good enough. I don't think it gets kind of, you don't have some of those kind of top end kind of wind kind of reduction kind of features that you get on the kind of higher end bone conduction headphones, but ultimately I think if you need to take calls with them, they do a okay job. I think they're better in terms of listening to your music. I think the calls or handling calls, they work pretty fine. You've got the controls actually to, you know, to control, you know, handling calls as well. So if you want to use them for calls, they do, I would say, a good job in terms of what you see from other bone conduction headphones, but I wouldn't expect best in class performance based on my testing. And then we get into battery life, and now Soundpeats is talking some pretty big numbers here. It's saying you can get up to 17 hours battery life from these headphones off a single charge, which, you know, that would say, or, you know, would equate to a lot more battery life that you're getting in those top end bone conduction headphones, you know, almost more than double basically. In reality, I don't think it's quite that 17 hours based on my testing. An hour's worth of running, I saw the battery drop by 10%, which would work out to about 10 hours, which is still better than what you would get from those kind of, you know, things like Shokz OpenRun and the Anchors, the Halos, which again, they fall off a little bit off from their kind of big claims as well, of kind of 8 to 9 hours as well. So from that point of view, it does offer a little bit more than what you would get on those kind of top end headphones. Not quite those 17 hours, but I think based on my testing, if you are listening at reasonably loud volumes, then the battery life is going to be significantly shorter than that kind of 17 hours. I mean, I imagine you could get longer than 10 hours based on, you know, having the volume a little bit lighter, you know, running a little bit less regularly, a little bit less, you know, shorter runs as well on a regular basis. So you could probably get more, but ultimately I think if you are running, you know, with the volume, I think acceptable kind of loudness to get the best audio performance, I think you're looking at probably around the 10-hour mark, which is still very good, and it's still more than what you're going to get on those kind of top end bone conduction headphones that cost, you know, more than the RunFree Lite as well. Okay, so verdict time, and should you buy the Soundpeats RunFree Lite? Now, I think for £35, $30, these are very good headphones for running. From a design point of view, I think they're pretty much there, the kind of things that you would want. They're light, you've got physical controls, although, you know, maybe, you know, had some minor gripes around the positioning. I think, you know, the durability level is good enough, I think, for most people as well. Getting to sound performance, as I said, out of the box, not great. Use that EQ mode in the app and you get something a lot nicer, I think a lot warmer, more rounded, more balanced as well. And you lose some of that muddiness that you get out of the box in that sound profile for making calls and also listening to music as well. And then the battery life, well, it doesn't kind of hit those kind of lofty claims that Soundpeats make here based on my testing. I do think you're still getting level of battery life that really matches those kind of more expensive bone conduction headphones. So I think, you know, you can't afford to get the kind of top end headphones, which I think ultimately are going to get you maybe a slightly more sleeker profile in terms of design, maybe better position head kind of controls as well, and I would say more kind of clarity and detail and kind of in terms of that sound performance, then that's kind of what you're going to get from those kind of top end kind of headphones, bone conduction headphones. But other than that, I think you are getting something very, very good here. You know, you're not making huge compromises in terms of paying a lot less. And if I had to buy a bone conduction or pair of bone conduction headphones, I only had kind of £30-40 to spend, I would have no qualms picking these up. I think in terms of what you're getting on the good side, definitely outweigh the not perfect side as well, and I don't think you're making massive sacrifices or compromises in terms of paying more for those kind of more expensive bone conduction headphones. So yeah, for me, the Soundpeats RunFree Lite, very good, cheap, you know, bone conduction headphones for runners. Don't be put off by the price is ultimately what I would say, because I think you're getting a very good all-round performance from design, sound performance, and also battery life too. Okay, so there it, that is our review on the Soundpeats RunFree Lite. Now, if you've got any questions about these headphones that we didn't cover in the video, do let us know in the comments. If there are other cheap running headphones that you want us to have a look at, let us know about those as well. As always, like and subscribe, hit that little bell to find out about latest videos, and yeah, we'll see you for the next Run Testers video.